Good morning, everyone. Um, Chair, because I'm doing this on the phone, I cannot see if everyone is in attendance. All the commissioners, can you check?
Anna, can you hear me? Anna?
Yes.
Okay. My apologies, I dropped off. I do see Commissioner York. Do I have Vice Chair Olson?
Hi, Chair. This is Vice Chair Olson. I'm on the phone.
Thank
Okay.
you. And Commissioner Coolidge? I don't see him. Commissioner Coolidge, are you on the line? All right, that looks like a no. Anna, let's go ahead and get going since it's 10:02 and I know everybody's still at the track and really busy. So let's get moving.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Ana Armenta. I am the Arizona Racing Commission Secretary. Today is March 14th, 2024. This is the 721st Arizona Racing Commission meeting taking place via Google Meet. I will do the roll call. Chair French Contreras,
Here,
Vice Chair Olson,
Present.
Commissioner Coolidge, Commissioner Coolidge, Commissioner York.
Present.
Thank you. We have a quorum. It is now 11:03 and the floor is yours.
thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. I know we're busy this morning.
Sorry, I apologize. 10:03.
That's okay. Thank you. Let's move on. This is call to order the 721st Arizona Racing Commission meeting. The first item is B, review and discussion of requests for Turf Paradise for approval of off-track betting facility for Old Brass Rail on Thomas Road. Does anybody have any information or further discussion, or does the staff have information on this item?
Yes, Chair Contreras. The department has received and supplied all the paperwork as usual, including the city approval. The owner of the brass rail has also been licensed. Any other responsible parties that need to be licensed as well will be done prior to opening. If the approval does go through, we will also send an investigator there as well. But the department does recommend approval for the OTB.
Thank you, Mr. Duncan. Any other comments or suggestions, motions by the commission?
I move to executive session.
I will second that motion. Anna?
And Anna, I need that link. I don't have it.
Okay,
Please. Thank you.
okay. Give me a second. I'm sorry.
That's okay. We know you're on the phone. Don't worry about it.
Thank you. I have a motion by, was that Chair French Contreras?
No, Commissioner York, and a second by myself.
Commissioner York and a second by Chair French Contreras, I will take the roll. Chair French Contreras,
Yes,
Vice Chair Olson,
Yes.
Commissioner York,
Yes.
with a total of 3 yeses. Thank you. That motion passes and we move into executive session. Thank you.
thank you.
To interfere. No, what we do, listen, this year there's 60 elections across the democratic countries, including here in America. Civilians that would kill 2/3 of which were women. And when you do that, as Kelly mentioned, you mentioned 8 September.
Is everyone back in?
Yes. Well,
Okay. Chair, would you like for me to take the roll call now?
Yes, please.
Chair French Contreras,
Here.
Vice Chair Olson, Vice Chair Olson, Mm,
Let me see.
do you want to give it a couple of
Present,
minutes?
can you hear me now?
There we go.
Vice Chair Olson,
Present.
Commissioner York? Commissioner York?
present, present.
Thank you. We have a quorum. It is now 10:31 and the floor is yours, Chair.
Thank you. We are back on B1. Do I have any comments from the commission?
Yes, Chair.
Go ahead.
I would just, okay. In looking at the contract for Old Brass Rail on page 32 of the PDF document that was supplied, under plan of operation, number of races, we want to note for the record that the information that's outlined in that contract is not correct. And we are requesting that it be updated and submitted to the department. And based on that, I would like to move that we approve this conditionally.
Olson second.
Thank you. I have Mr. Johnson. You have your hand raised. Is it specific to this agenda item?
Yes, Chair. And I just wanted to address it real quick, and I appreciate you guys making the recommendation. I'll have to check that plan of operation and see where it's incorrect, but that will definitely get corrected. I just wanted to make sure that the commission understood that this is an OTB. It's on 37th Street and Thomas. It's in an area that is very underserved. This area used to have 3 off-track betting locations that serviced it. And one of them used to be one of the top 5 locations in the industry, a place called Brenda's Inferno. Actually, before that, Armadillo Grill. But again, this is a location that's very underserved, and you guys all understand how important off-track betting is to the industry. It generates money for the purses for the horsemen. It generates money for the track. It generates money for the state and the racing department. So it is important, and I just wanted to make sure you knew that. But after hearing your recommendation, I will make sure that gets fixed and delivered to the department promptly. Thank you.
So we have a motion, and to be specific on plan of operation, it's page 32 of the PDF that's out before the commission under number of races. There's an incorrect date, November 5th of 2021 needs to be addressed, as well as verbiage that says on the average of 4, but then there's listed numeral 5 on days per week. If you can just take a look at that paragraph, and we have a motion for conditional approval of this off-track betting facility for Old Brass Rail, as well as a second. So Anna, it's yours.
With a motion by Commissioner York and a second by Commissioner or Vice Chair Olson,
Correct.
I will take the roll call. Chair Contreras,
Yes.
Vice Chair Olson.
Yes.
Commissioner York,
Yes.
thank you. With a total of 3 yeses, that motion passes with conditional approval.
Thank you. On down to number 2, request for Turf Paradise for approval of the following 2024 charity race dates. Thursday, April 11th, 2024, Monday, April 15th, 2024, and Saturday, May 4th, 2024. Any discussion or motions? All right, I'll make a motion to approve agenda item B2.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Chair French Contreras and a second by Commissioner York. I will call the roll. Chair French Contreras,
Yes.
Vice Chair Olson,
Yes.
Commissioner York.
Yes.
Thank you. With a total of 3 yeses, that motion passes.
Thank you, Anna. Going down to B3, simulcast agreement pursuant to ARS 511 or 5112U. The commission, we have before us a Turf Paradise Aqueduct, Dubai, Keeneland, MJC Laurel Park, Evangeline Downs, Hawthorne Racecourse, Horseshoe Indianapolis, and Sandy Ridge. Do we have any comments or motions? Do I have a motion to approve?
Yes, I move to approve.
Thank you.
Olson seconds.
Thank you. I
Anna?
have a motion. Thank you. I have a motion by Commissioner York and a second by Vice Chair Olson. I will call the roll. Chair French Contreras,
Yes.
Vice Chair Olson.
Yes.
Commissioner York,
Yes.
with a total of 3 yeses. Thank you. That motion passes.
Thank you. And let's go down to number 4A. And let's break this down into 2 different motions because we have Turf Paradise 1, Aqueduct, Dubai, Keeneland, MJC Laurel Park, complete. And then, do we have any further comments or reports from the commission or the
Chair,
staff?
if I may.
Yes.
I was wondering if, this is Vice Chair Olson. I'm just
Mhm.
wondering if, Mr. Duncan or somebody else from the department has any updates on any additional documentation.
Thank you.
Yes, this is Brian Duncan. I do have some updates on items in B4. The items, number 3, which is Keeneland, number 5, Evangeline, number 6, Hawthorne, and number 7, Horseshoe, all race beyond May 31st. Again, the Arizona HBPA agreement only runs up through May 31st.
Okay.
Therefore, these items are not approved beyond that date. And then also items 5 through 8 are missing the out-of-state horsemen and out-of-state commission approvals. I will let you know that items 1 and 2 are complete with documentation and do not run beyond May 31st. With that also being said, the department would recommend that items 1 and 2 be approved. Items 4 and 8 be conditionally approved pending the rest of the documentation, since they also do not go beyond the May 31st. And then items 3, 5, 6, and 7 be conditionally approved pending the rest of the documentation and the Arizona HBPA agreement extension being received if they do extend it.
Chair, this is Vice Chair Olson. I have a follow-up this, I may.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Duncan. I appreciate that explanation. For item 4, what is missing from that? 'Cause for some reason, I thought we had all the documentation there. Can we add that to our motion with items 1 and 2?
Item 4 is actually missing approval beyond May 31st. Other than that, it has all documentation up to May 31st.
Okay, so the date should say 3rd. Okay, understood. Okay, thanks for that clarification. So you view it as 3 motions, conditionally for 4 and 8, and then conditionally for 3, 5, 6, and 7.
That would be correct.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner York, you had a question?
Yes, for the department, for the agreements that are missing approval from the host horsemen and commissions, when do you typically get that, or when do you anticipate you're going to get that?
It is usually within a week prior to the actual start dates.
Okay. And that's common?
Yes,
Okay. Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Chair, I'm happy to
Yes.
make a motion.
Yes. Go ahead.
I'd like to move on action item B4A, items 1 and 2, to approve Aqueduct and Dubai World Cup simulcast horse racing import signals pursuant to IHA section 3004A3.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Vice Chair Olson and a second by Commissioner York. I will call the roll. Chair French Contreras,
Yes.
Vice Chair Olson,
Yes.
Commissioner York.
Yes.
With a total of 3 yeses, thank you. That motion passes.
Thank you. And then we'll go down to the others. Do I have any motions?
Yeah, one quick follow-up for Mr. Duncan in phrasing this motion. For item 4, if that is missing, I'm sorry, item 3 should be the only conditional pending documentation. The rest of them have issues with dates. Is that correct? I just want to make sure I'm breaking these up into the right categories.
I think we have 3, 5, 6, and 7 can have conditional approval. Is that correct?
Yes, 3, 5, 6, and 7 are conditional.
And then 4 and 8 would be,
Uh,
are they the ones that go beyond? Which one of these go beyond?
Sorry, I'm getting confused here. How three has all its documentation, it's just a date issue. But yet
Right, and
with the ones that don't have documentation, all the documentation.
4 also has documentation. It's also a date issue. Should it be, is that right?
I'm going
So
to
tell
double
us
check.
which ones are date only and which ones are date and documentation.
Yeah, I will double check NJC real quick and make sure that that is correct. Yeah, the Maryland Jockey Club actually only runs through the 5th, so that one should be okay to run and has all documentation. I apologize for that.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. So I'd like to then make a motion to approve item B4A4 for MJC Laurel Park for the simulcast horse racing import signals pursuant to IHA section 3004A3.
I'll second that.
Thank you. I have a motion by by Vice Chair Olson and a second by Chair French Contreras. I will call the roll. Chair French Contreras,
Yes.
Vice Chair Olson.
Yeah.
Commissioner York,
Yes.
with a total of 3 yeses, thank you. That motion passes.
I'd like to make a motion to conditionally approve B4A3 for Keeneland, to approve the simulcast horse racing import signals pursuant to IHA section 3004A3, pending approval for the full slate of race dates.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Vice Chair Olson and a second by Commissioner York. I will call the roll. Chair French Contreras,
Yes.
Vice Chair Olson.
Yes.
Commissioner York,
Yes.
with a total of 3 yeses, thank you. That motion passes with conditional approval.
I'd like
Thank
to make a motion to approve item B for A 8, Sandy Ridge. Conditionally approve it under simulcast horse racing import signals pursuant to IHA section 3008 or 3004A3, pending receipt of documentation or missing documentation, and empower the department to act without further approval upon receipt of that documentation.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Vice Chair Olson and a second by Chair French Contreras. I will call the roll. Chair French Contreras,
Yes.
Vice Chair Olson,
Yes.
Commissioner York,
Yes.
with a total of 3 yeses, thank you. That motion passes with conditional approval.
Okay, I'd like to make one last motion. Under item B4A, items 5, 6, and 7, Evangeline Downs, Hawthorne Race Course, and Horseshoe Indianapolis, I'd like to make a motion to conditionally approve these items for simulcast horse racing import signals pursuant to IHA section 3004A3, pending both receipt of missing documentation and approval from the Horsemen's Group for the full slate of dates, and empower the department to act without further action from the commission upon receipt of those approvals and
Second.
documentation.
Thank you. I have a motion by Vice Chair Olson and a second by Commissioner York.
Anna,
Yes,
before we take that roll, Mr. Johnson, do you have a comment directly regarding this agenda item?
Yes, Chairwoman Contreras, Commission, Dave Johnson with Turf Paradise. I just have a question regarding the way the motion was made, and I just want to make sure that I understand it right. The Arizona HBPA approval grants approval through May 31st, and we are hoping and working with them currently to get an extension, come to an agreement so that we can continue simulcasting and go forward in all respects. Does the motion that was made allow us to operate pending the approvals from the out-of-state horsemen and commission up until at least that point? Because it was a little bit confusing the way I heard the motion.
I'll let the staff weigh in. My understanding is this gives you approval through May 31st, correct?
Chair Contreras, yes, you are approving up through May 31st.
Oh.
And then also, my understanding is if they do go beyond the horsemen do allow beyond the 31st, they can still continue without having to come back to the commission.
Correct.
Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor.
I will call the roll. Chair French Contreras,
Yes.
Vice Chair Olson.
Yeah.
Commissioner York,
Yes.
with a total of 3 yeses, thank you. That motion passes with conditional approval.
Thank you. Let's move down to item C, informational reports. Number 1, track safety report. Dr. Gale, are you available?
Chair, I don't believe she's going to be on at the moment.
Okay,
She did want me to give you a real quick update.
sure.
She did say that there have been no fatalities during the live racing. They believe they've been doing 100% on the pre-race exams. So she believes that's a big factor. They've also been continuing to do post-race exams as they come off the track, which they also believe has helped keep some of the injuries or keep the fatalities down as well. And she said she'd be here next month to give you an update, but she is doing pre-race exams.
All righty. And Mr. Estrada or Mr. Roush, are you available? Do you have any comments?
No comments, Chair. Just want to let you guys know that we continue to monitor all areas on the backside along with both tracks, dirt and turf. Been working closely with HISA and HEWU with updating and whatever else needs to be done. We've been communicating with the track, and so far they've been doing a good job on addressing the issues that we're bringing to their concerns. Also, I've sent a list of items that we were monitoring, and everybody should have access to it where you can see it live as things get checked off. Other than that, again, we continue to monitor as much as possible and reporting back to the commission.
Thank you, Mr. Estrada. Commissioner York, you had a question?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Mr. Estrada, what is your target date for the first safety committee meeting?
Yes, ma'am, Commissioner York. Actually, I was saving that one for the proposed work sessions, but I'll go ahead and give you an
Oh,
update.
okay. If that's fine. If you're going to address it there, that's fine.
Okay.
All right, let's drop down to budget report.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right, so our current cash balance in the Racing fund is $2.3 million. And we're projected to spend 2.2 throughout the end of the year. We're going to be starting out to give out the Breeders' Award now that we have live racing, and per statute, we have to give out $250,000. Our year-to-date, we'll start with the regulatory waging assessment. For February, that was $165,000. Per mutual, we collected $17,447. We actually have not or did not collect any dark day assessments in the month of February. Some of it is timing. We have license fees for boxing for $4,572. License fees for racing was $41,606. And then we can drop down to our payroll and employee related expenses. So for the month of February, we spent $135,633 for payroll. Legal cost was $9,980. We didn't have any building rent or legal costs, or excuse me, that was the legal cost. And then our other contracted services was $1,512 for the month. And in the right column, you see the year to date, just as we go through the months. Here's a picture of what I always show every month for the race and appropriation. And so this is showing where we are currently sitting in February. So we're on target as scheduled. So all of our forecast is kind of aligning. And then for same for the racing cash balance, we are right where we are supposed to be here as well.
Excellent. Excellent.
Right. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Any questions from the commission?
None for me, Chair.
All right. Moving down then, let's go to legislative update. Mr. Hartgraves.
Madam Chair, members in the commission, for the record, Max Hartgraves, Legislative Liaison for the Arizona Department of Gaming. Today is the 67th day of the 2024 legislative session, and we've seen 1,629 bills introduced this year. There are 3 bills that I'd like to highlight specifically related to racing. First is Senate Bill 1260, which would prohibit simulcast dog racing in Arizona starting in 2029 and prohibit simulcast dog racing that originates outside the continental United States after June 30th of this year. This bill passed the Senate with 24 yeses, 2 noes, and 4 not voting, and is scheduled to be heard in the House Land, Agriculture, and Rural Affairs Committee on Monday. Next is Senate Bill 1575, which would consolidate the Arizona Boxing and Mixed Martial Arts Commission, the Arizona Racing Commission, and the Department of Gaming within a newly created gaming commission, which passed through the Senate a few weeks ago with a party line vote of 16 yeses, 12 noes, and 2 not voting. It was read and assigned to House government earlier this week. There are a number of concerns with this bill that the department has expressed to members. That said, it does have a long way to go before getting close to a finish line, and we are tracking this bill very closely. Lastly is House Bill 2415. This is our Racing Commission continuation bill. It passed the House in February with 58 yeses and 2 not voting, and was assigned to Senate government. It is waiting to be placed on the Senate government agenda, which we are hoping that it will take place next week. With both 1575 and 2415, we will continue to update the commission if there is any movement as we progress through the 2024 legislative session. I believe a commission also requested an update on the federal ARPA grants, which I can provide after this. However, I did want to make sure that any legislative questions you may have are addressed first. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Hargreaves. On 1260, does the agency have a position on that, and what's the financial impact, if any?
We are neutral on that legislation. I believe, I do not have the figures right in front of me, but we collected, I believe, around $30,000 or $40,000 in regulatory wagering assessments from simulcast dog racing in the last fiscal year. So the impact in terms of revenues to the Department of Racing, or Division of Racing rather, would be negligible. And
if 2415 is passed, but then we have 1575, will there be a conflict there, or does it just automatically absorb? I'm trying to figure out what effect 2415 passing would have on the ability of 1575 to pass. I see a conflict potentially.
Madam Chair, that's a great question. It's my understanding that 1575 essentially removes references to the Racing Commission within statute. So I think it would, my understanding is it would supersede 2415. However, I'm happy to dive into that a bit more and get you a more well-written answer, or more fleshed out answer on that.
Commissioner York, you have a question?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Mr. Hargreaves, what's your best take on when this will all be wrapped up? By typically when?
So that's a great question, Madam Chair, Commissioner York. That is a great question. So sine die is technically, that is when the legislature essentially shoots to end their session, which is 100 days after the beginning of session. So sometime in April. That said, last year the session did go over 200 days, and I would not be surprised to see the session go past April this year. Typically we see a lot of bills, essentially completed by that sine die date by April, and then they typically spend, late March, early April negotiating the budget. So, it's hard to say when they will end the session. Like I mentioned last year, it went a really long time, over 200 days. I wouldn't be surprised to see it be significantly longer than 100 days this year.
Okay. So sometime before it hits 115 degrees, basically,
Hopefully. Right? Any other questions with the legislative update?
No, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners. In terms of federal grants, I know I gave a brief update at the January commission meeting, and I can confirm that the federal ARPA grants will not be continued by the administration. As I previously discussed, these ARPA grants have been identified by the administration as a high audit risk. For further background, these ARPA funds are under scrutiny from the federal government due to concerns about misuse and lack of sufficient documentation. The state could be held liable to the federal government and subject to a clawback for these funds. In order to mitigate risk and concerns, the state must discontinue the grants related to these funds. In additional mitigation efforts, we are working to finalize attestation forms to collect documentation for previously dispersed federal funds. That said, it is my understanding that additional documentation that the department receives from attestation forms do not change the previous decision to discontinue federal funds. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions related to these ARPA federal grants.
Mr. Hargrave, we know that affects the Arizona breeders, correct? Does it affect any of the other horsemen or trainers or entities involved in racing?
Madam Chair, I believe there was three essentially categories of federal grants. One was for breeders organizations, one was for the horsemen, the HBPA, and then the third was for racetracks in the state.
Is that money, where's that money going to go? If it's the federal government, the grant has already been issued to Arizona, correct? So where is that money going to go?
So my understanding is these are essentially COVID relief dollars that the state received from the federal government. You know, the administration has essentially the authority to distribute those how they see fit. So they distribute these dollars in a wide variety of ways, not specifically for racing.
All right, thank you. Commissioner York, you had a question?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Was this initially, Mr. Hargraves, initially a 3-year program, or was it to go longer?
Madam Chair, Commissioner York, the initial contracts were 3-year contracts. However, there were stipulations with those contracts. First, the grant contracts were contingent on continued funding. How these federal grants were structured was that the department was a sub-grantee of a grantee of these funds rather, and recipients of the funding were sub-grantees. So the department didn't hold these funds each year. Once funding was approved, the department essentially received funds from the administration and then consequently dispersed these funds to recipients. In addition, it's my understanding these contracts did require that they were re-signed each year, and I am not aware of any currently signed contracts for this fiscal year.
Okay, so at a minimum, there was an expectation that there would be 3 years of COVID grants and possibly longer, but we knew at the outset it was a 3-year program.
Yeah, the contracts were 3 years again with those stipulations, you know, contingent on funding and re-signing.
Okay, and just as a point of clarification, the years 2 and 3 that the breeders did not get, and year 3 that the horsemen and the permittees did not get, there's no opportunity to recoup that. I just want to confirm.
It's my understanding that, Madam Chair, Commissioner York, it's my understanding that these federal grants were discontinued. So as far as I'm aware, the administration isn't planning on continuing those grants. However, that is a decision of the administration.
Thank you.
Mr. Hargrave, I apologize. Let me go back up to 1575, that Senate bill. Have you heard, I've got great concerns about that bill myself. I'm just curious if you've heard from any of the horsemen or any other entities that have concerns or objections to this bill?
Madam Chair, not from horsemen stakeholders specifically. This bill does not only affect the racing industry, it also, or the Racing Commission. I believe the Boxing Commission as well has expressed some concerns, as well as tribal gaming stakeholders. So essentially the entities it does affect have contacted me on that, but nothing specifically from horsemen or other racing industry stakeholders.
And who would individuals or groups reach out to if they have objections to this bill?
Madam Chair, there is a few different methods. The state legislature, azledge.gov, has an RTS system where individuals can sign up to speak if a bill is put on an agenda, as well as sign in and take a position on a bill, essentially whether that's for, against, or neutral. And then there's always an ability to contact members of the legislature to express your opinion or a thought on a bill. So there's multiple ways to essentially express your concerns or give your support however you want to do it.
Would it be appropriate for them to reach out to you to get that information if they needed it?
I'm happy, Madam Chair. I'm happy to direct people to the resources so they can do that. So I'm happy to facilitate as best as I can.
Great, I appreciate that. Any other comments? All right, we'll move on down then to C4, report of the International Horse Racing Integrity Act. Mr. Gessman, are you available?
Yes, Chair Contreras. I have nothing new to report. We are still waiting. We're going past the 5-month mark now and are still waiting for a ruling from the 5th District Court. Nothing will happen until that ruling is issued, so I can't update anything at this time.
Thank you. All right, moving down to 5, permittee reports, American Greyhound Racing.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, Aaron Feinberg for American Greyhound Racing. We have no update this month. Thank you.
Thank you. And 5B, Arizona Downs, suggest we remove that from the agenda. They're not a permittee any longer. If they have any comments, they can do that at call to the public. C, county fairs. Do we have anybody from county fairs? How about D, Rialto? Turf Paradise, E.
Thank you, Chair Contreras, Commissioners York and Olson, Vincent Francia, GM out at Turf Paradise. 2 things I wanted to touch on today is for this particular meet is the biggest day. We have 5 stake races on the card, including the 68th running of the Phoenix Gold Cup and the Cotton Fitzsimmons Handicap. Cotton's widow, Joanne Fitzsimmons, will be on hand along with former Phoenix Suns players and local media to present the trophy. And this is the biggest day of the meet. The second thing I wanted to touch on, which has already been mentioned, is how well we are going with the most important element about our sport, and that's the horses themselves. In addition to the pre-race and post-race inspections, which have had a positive influence, we are 28 days into the 57-day race meet, and we have had no fatalities during racing. And I think that in addition to what our veterinarians do, the track staff, keeping the track maintained and in order so that it's in the best condition for these horses is playing a part. When I look at the figures from last year, the first 28 days of the meet, we had already lost 5 horses. So I think we are on the right track with what we are doing. Any questions the commission might have, I certainly will answer them.
Any questions by commission?
No, Chair.
All right, moving down to 6, optional industry stakeholder association updates. Do we have anybody from Arizona County Racing Association? Arizona Quarter Horse Association. I think everybody's out busy on the track. Do we have anybody from the Arizona Thoroughbred Breeders Association? How about Horseman's HBPA? All right, Jockeys Guild?
Chair.
Yes, sir.
Contreras. Yeah,
Yes.
I got moved over somehow here to my phone and my fat fingers didn't work right. But anyway, I'm unmuted now.
All right, Mr. Gessman, go ahead.
Chair Contreras, Commissioners Leroy Gessman with the HVPA. I just would like to touch on, what you've already been told. We've been very fortunate in not to have any fatalities to this point during live racing. I don't want to jinx it, but I do want to say, I think there's some key elements to the reasoning for this. People ask me why. I believe the track renovation that Turf Paradise went through before the meet had a big role in this. It got the track prepared in the proper way, which hasn't been done in several years. The other thing is the job that Dr. Gale and her crew, Dr. Butler, are doing with the pre-race exams. They're a lot more thorough this year, and they're a lot, they're able to spend more time doing them, and with the extra help that they have, so they're getting a better coverage on the pre-race exams. Also, Dr. Butler is doing a great job with the post parades. There's been several horses scratched during post parades, as well as evaluating the horses when they leave the track. She looks at every one of them walking off and makes notes and deals with one if there's appears to be an issue. I think all of that is contributed to where we are today on the fatality rate. With that being said, I do want to say we are experiencing an issue with the maintenance of the track. We are holding a meeting tomorrow to address these issues. We are experiencing a lot of soft tissue injuries, as well as some bone tendon injuries. We're having a meeting tomorrow in our office to discuss that with the track superintendent, Mr. Francia, and all the vets and the trainers that are from our board that have the concerns. So hopefully we can get the track back on track and the safety maintained through the end of the meet. That is all I have for my report. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
I do, Mr. Guessman. Soft tissue injuries tend to lend themselves to depth of track, correct? Are we having a problem with the footing or the depth of the track?
The problem we're having is the inside 2 or 3 positions from the rail is quite a bit deeper than it is in the 4, 5, 6 rail positions. So there's a difference in the depth of surfaces and the deep. When the morning workouts, the majority of the horses are on the inside rail when they're working out. This going through that deep surface is causing some soft tissue injuries.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from my commission or the public?
Not for me, Chair.
All right, dropping down to E, the Jockeys Guild. Did we have anybody to report? Okay, number 7, proposed work session. Director Casillas.
Yes, Chair, Commissioners. Just an update. Previous commission meeting, there was a request for some flow charts regarding jockey or steward rulings and complaints. I've got the first draft. It's got to go through a couple more phases of review and tweaks. Once that is completed, it will be posted to the agency website, and the transparency of how this flows regarding the complaints and steward rulings will be available for anyone to look at the steps involved. Additionally, I have Juan Carlos Estrada here to provide you an update on the safety committee and the hotline that the department is putting together. So, Mr. Estrada.
Yes, Chair and Commissioners, Juan Estrada from the Arizona Department of Gaming. Just want to give you a brief update that we finally got the team approved. So of the participants that will be joining the Racing, Safety, and Welfare Committee, I have set out a meeting, request, that's scheduled for Friday, March 29th at 9 a.m. Currently, we're working on the agenda. Once that agenda is put together and finalized, we'll make sure to share it with the commission, so they know what we're discussing. In addition, we're also working on posters, that we're gonna be posting out at the racetrack. The titles is See Something, Say Something. It's a tip line for, Department of Gaming. Also in collaboration with Highwoo, we would be putting their tip line as well, with all efforts to try and get as much, tips we can from, posting those, items around the track. Again, as I mentioned before, I continue working, closely with the Jockeys Guild, HISA, Hiwoo, the HBPA, to try and make sure that the communication flows and that we're all on the same page when it comes to safety of the racetrack or any other items of concern. With that said, that's all I have for now.
Commissioner York, you have a question?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, Mr. Estrada, thank you for that update. How often will the safety committee meet?
As of now, that'll probably be one of the items on the agenda to discuss. It may be bi-weekly or monthly, once a month. That'll be discussed and we can come up with a date, at which point I can go ahead and give you an update.
Okay, thank you. And as far as the members of the committee, how many and where are they coming from?
There's approximately 12, and there's only 12 because I added, secretaries to this. We're gonna kind of try to, treat it the same as a, commission meeting, however, not at that level. So I have two secretaries. It's composed of veterinarians, horseman representative, Jockeys Guild, trainer, racing secretary, racetrack superintendent, safety directors, safety officers and stewards, and track management.
Okay, so no owners on that committee, just trainers representing their owners?
Correct.
And is it just a meeting of the committee when it does happen, or will any other interested party be able to attend? Just like they can this meeting?
I'm gonna begin this meeting with just only those participants to get it started, and then we'll discuss within the team to see if it's appropriate to make sure that we bring others into this. Other reports, whatever we obtain from these meetings, we'll make sure to share them at commission meetings so that we make you aware of what the committee is discussing. That report will be reported either by our safety steward, which is coming on board here shortly, or by Dr. Gale.
Okay, great. And just one last question. Right now, do you anticipate that at the committee meetings, you'll be going over the necropsy reports as we have in the past?
So I can give you a brief of what the possible agenda may be looking at. And I'm just going on recommendations from HISA and Hiwoo as well. So probably discussion items can be, equine catastrophic injuries and fatalities, discussion on factors that have contributed to injuries, possible effectiveness of track protocols and procedures, human injuries, evaluation of external factors, evaluation of effectiveness of protocols, occurrences, other racetrack safety issues, and that includes necropsies, consensus of findings, and just several items. I mean, I need to condense it. Don't want to make this meeting a 5-hour long meeting. So again, I'll be working closely with Dr. Gale to make sure we put an agenda out.
Thank you, Mr. Estrada.
Mr. Estrada, just real quick, who's going to staff the hotline, and do the callers have to identify themselves?
They don't. They'll be staffed and monitored by us here in our agency internally, and then also there's going to be a QR code that HISA and Hiwoo are going to be monitoring. So we're going to include both. If people don't trust our hotline, then they can always call the other. So we're making sure we give people all the options we can so that they're able to report with confidence.
Thank you. I'm thrilled. I think we're moving in the right direction. I really appreciate everybody's effort and diligence on this. I think that we're getting the right focus as far as the safety of the horses, and I appreciate the effort of all the staff. Moving down to the commission reports. Anything from my commission members?
Nothing for me, Chair.
All right, the only thing I want to bring up again is I continue to really want to see this commission fully staffed. I'm really encouraging everyone to reach out to anyone that they think would be interested in serving, putting in an application to the Department of Board and Commissions with the governor's office and get applications moving forward for the vacant seats. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me or to the commission staff about that application process. And I hope to next month be able to report whether or not we've got applications in the hopper for that vacant seat. In the meantime, if you have any questions, just give me a call. In that regard, we have call to the public E, and of course we have Mr. Nolan. Are you on the phone? There you are. Mr. Nolan?
Yes. Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. And I see a lot of participants in the audience. Staff, thank you also. I hadn't planned on really talking until a couple days. Some stakeholders have reached out to me to ask that I continue to try to bring the awareness of the state of our industry, both horse racing and breeding. And I'm going to pick one topic that's a major concern to me, to our community here in Arizona, and to the industry and into my neighborhood. As people know, this property is, Turf Paradise is up on the market for sale, and there is an attempt for rezoning. In a letter that our community here in this neighborhood has received, rezoning will take place upon the ceasing of horse racing operations and the redevelopment of the property or any portion thereof. My concern being and I have reached out to the department through a public records request to see if any permits have been applied for by any person or entity in the current fiscal year, which is July 1, 2023 through current and goes through June 30th, 2024. I haven't received that answer. And that's the concern, is upon ceasing of horse racing operations, that might need clarified. We know that live horse racing stops on Kentucky Derby Day, so we do have that date. We also know that there's concerns with the signal with horsemen in a contract with the permittee. We also know that the fiscal year, June 30th coming, that the current permit expires. And if that's the case, we know then that the horse racing operations cease. Now, if the redevelopment of this property or any portion thereof means he puts a hot dog stand at a corner, then this whole property is rezoned to industrial, commercial, whatever the real terms are with what's on the application. The original application was put in by Mr. Watson. There were core samples taken on this property. There were a lot of members in our community, business leaders were approached who agreed that they want rezoning because they want this property to look aesthetically more pleasurable. Mr. Watson has stepped away. The applications have been now put into Mr. Sims' name. And as you know, I've got concerns with the condition of this property. It's really not that aesthetically pleasurable for our industry, for our community in this neighborhood, and for the whole state of Arizona's at one time, $100 million racing industry. It's going to go before city council. If someone appeals that decision, that happened last Thursday, it made it through the city planning commission. I don't believe it made it through unopposed, There was one opposition at it. But I hope you can understand my concern. It takes place upon the ceasing of horse racing operations and the redevelopment of any portion of this property. It then that rezoning will replace the special use horse racing permit, and it will be industrial commercial. That's why this commission needs to be aware. That's a concern for a whole industry, for all of us in this state. There's no if it is rezoned, we have no racing in our state. And I don't know if this place could be sold. I don't believe, with the litigations that are 14 years between the two parties, the brothers, it's been stayed. I also know that there's been an 8-year litigation with, against the commission and the Department of Racing. That's 8 years old. As long as those litigations remain, I don't believe any person that does proper due diligence would be willing to put up a significant amount until they know for a fact that this property could close a deal with those litigations pending. And I just think it's important that this commission watch it. It's very scary for all of us to know that that could happen. They're emphatic that this racing will continue. And if it does continue, as I said, then it won't interfere with racing as long as it doesn't, as long as horse racing operations continue, rezoning won't take place.
Thank you, Mr.
right.
Nolan. Your
Okay.
time is up. I do want to just remind everyone that because we've changed the format of the public comment and comments specific to each agenda item, we have increased the public comment period or the comment period to 5 minutes. And I do appreciate your concerns, Mr. Nolan. They're duly noted. I also have a request by Dr. Mandy Holland for public comment. Is she available?
Hello, could you roll me? Is there somebody else?
This is Chairwoman. This is
Yes.
Jerry Sims. If
Yes,
I
sir.
could clarify, it might help everybody to understand the current status of what Mr. Nolan responded to, so I
Yes, sir.
can clarify for you if you'd like.
Yep, let's give you 5 minutes.
I won't take nearly that long, but thank you for the time. There's currently no purchaser for the racetrack. And this big thing about zoning is a non-issue. What happened was when the property was zoned commercial 24 years ago, 23 or 24 years ago, for some reason, 28 acres was not included. All that's happening is that 28 acres is going to be in conformity with the rest of the property. That's all the zoning is happening. It doesn't change racing. Mr. Nolan went to meetings and said it's going to stop racing and all that kind of nonsense. It is not going to change racing one iota. It just means that 28 acres that's in the back, part of it's used for barn area, will be in conformity with the rest of the property. It is my intention to come to an agreement with the horsemen. We're going to be working together on a contract, and I will continue racing, even though I don't want to. I'd like to retire, as I've said, but I think for all the stakeholders that I'll continue it for now, and there'll be racing. So I mean, all this scare tactics is really unnecessary, and that 28 acres merely, as I said before, brings all the acreage into conformity, so it's all the same. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Holland, are you available?
Yes, ma'am, I'm available. Thank you. I was treating a horse for Lasix in one of the stakes races, so I appreciate that. Hello, everybody. Good morning, Commission. This is Dr. Mandy Holland. I'm a regulatory Lasix vet at Turf Paradise. I would like to commend Chairwoman Contreras and Commissioner York for coming out and joining us at the racetrack. Contreras rode around with me on the merry-go-round of giving Lasix, and that was fun and I hope eye-opening for her. You all are welcome anytime to come and join and see the menagerie of events that happen on the backside. But going forward today, I would like to bring to light a situation that has occurred over the previous 30 days concerning a pony horse here at Turf Paradise. For those of you that may not know, the definition of a pony horse is one of the horses that's used to accompany or escort a racehorse in post parade. And then also they're used in the mornings for jogs, gallops under lead with a pony person on board. And one of the things that's concerning me as I continue with my advocacy of the equine athletes back here is these pony horses are also equine athletes, and they're the tugboats of the racing industry. These horses jog or gallop race horses for miles each day for 6 days a week. Some work morning and night if a rider's other horse becomes sick or injured, which leads me to this story. We have previously had a pony rider that has had a horse that had been under my care last year for lameness issues and is owned by another individual. And through the summer, we worked to get this horse back to baseline normal. And it was my understanding with the owner that this horse would not come back to the racetrack for the best of his interests. Being a pony horse was not in his best interest. And lo and behold, come February, this horse shows up on the backside, continues to have lameness issues, and is apparent on national television, TVG, and also all of the online gaming that show our signals. And so with that, we had calls into the department anonymously and supposedly concerning PETA. I worked with Dr. Rudy Casillas to address this issue. With that in mind, I really feel that this group of horses, this group of equine athletes has blatantly been overlooked and underserved. They're usually the last ones to get any veterinary service on the backside because the treating vets are invested and involved with the race horses, which I speak highly of everybody that's done such a great job in our safety record over the past 28 days. It has been awesome. But we do have a population of these pony horses that are older and they're just working their guts out. So along with this, I highly recommend that the department comes up with a program of stewardship for these horses. And with that, maybe provide some financial assistance by means of subsidies for feed and medical care. These pony riders bill out per horse through the trainers for races and also morning work. And, they're scraping to get paid and to get by. And with the cost of horses increasing for replacement, and not just any horse can be brought in to be a pony horse on the racetrack for safety reasons, it's becoming more apparent that we're underserving this community. In some way and somehow, I would really like us as an industry, just as we have safety concerns for these horses that are racing, I would also like to see us implement maybe a bi-monthly vet check program for these horses, but also provide them care and nutrition that maybe they're lacking due to financial and economical hardships. Now, whether that's a partnership between the department and the racetrack, through the budget reports, I see we maybe only have $100K left in the budget at the end of the year. But I would really, really like to try and do something for these workhorses that are back here every day and are being underserved. And with that, I would take any questions from anybody.
Thank you, Dr. Holland. I do have a few questions. Unfortunately, this would have to be an agendized item for us to discuss it further.
Sure.
And I have some questions of the staff. If we could maybe put this on the agenda for next month to get some information on what authority the commission and others have over these pony horses versus the other equine athletes that are under our supervision. So I will talk to the staff about that, and maybe we can put something on the agenda for further discussion and investigation next month.
Chair, consider that done.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Do I have any other comments, call to the public? Okay, then we will move down to F, announcements. As you are aware, we're trying to move these meetings to Fridays while you do have race meets so that we can tie people up, individuals and interested parties that want to be involved in our meetings. Unfortunately, that does have to be via Google Meets because the building is very busy and they don't have a meeting location available for us for an in-person meeting on Fridays. But our next meeting will be via Google Meets at 10 a.m. on Friday, April 12th, 2024. And with that, I'll ask for an adjournment.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Thank you. With a motion by Vice Chair Olson and a second by Chair French Contreras, I will call the roll. Chair French Contreras,
Yes.
Vice Chair Olson,
I would like to
Yes.
interrupt.
Yes.
Craig Braddock has his hand up when you asked for further call to the public.
I apologize for that. If the commission would not mind entertaining another public comment. I'm not seeing his hand up, but let's go ahead and let him comment. Go ahead, Mr. Braddock. Mr. Braddock, I think you're on mute.
He's on mute. I've been noticing him trying to talk on the video, but he's on mute.
Okay. Go ahead, unmute yourself, Mr. Braddock. Oh, you can't? Oh, okay. All right. We have a motion on the floor. Did we have a second, Anna?
yes. Motion by Vice Chair Olson and a second by yourself, Chair French Contreras. Roll call, French Contreras,
Yes.
Vice Chair Olson.
Yeah.
Commissioner York.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. The time is now 11:37 a.m. and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you. If everyone can please exit the meeting.
Mr. Braddock, please feel free to reach out to me directly. Thank you.